All right, section 8.6, page 55. This is part B, picking up from number 22. Here's what we have. We're still going to square both sides. Square, square. And what you get here on the left-hand side is an s squared. On the right-hand side, the square root will cancel with the square, giving us only the radicand, which is the s squared minus 2s minus 6. The radicand, remember, is the stuff inside the square root. It's the creamy filling inside. And then from here, subtract s squared from both sides. This cancels out. On the left-hand side, that cancels out as well. So now here's what I get. 0 equals negative 2s minus 6. From here, I am going to add. I was going to say subtract, but add 6. Add 6 to both sides. 6 cancels out here. You have 6 equals negative 2s. And the final step is to divide both sides by negative 2, which will result in s equaling negative 3. And that's your answer. S equals negative 3. All right, for the sake of time, I will skip the odd problems and move on to number 26. Still on page 55, bottom of page 55, it says, what is wrong with the solution found on page 612? If you look in your textbook, if you look at page 612, number 26, you will realize that the problem here is that the book worked out the problem and it says negative x minus 1, and it should not be. That's what we're going to write. It should not be negative x minus 1. It should be positive. It should be positive x minus 1. Let's go ahead and move on. Once again, continue with the even problems. We'll skip 27 for now and go on to number 28. And we're going to continue doing the same thing here, which is to square both sides. Now, there's something slightly different here, because on the left side, you're still going to have the square root cancel out with the square. So it's 3x plus 3. But on the right-hand side, I have x minus 5 being squared, which means that there are 2 of these. And when you have a problem like this, you are going to FOIL. Foiling, if you remember, is when you multiply the first 2 things with the outside 2 things, and then the inner 2 things, and then the 2 last things. Terms are the things I'm talking about here. So here's what I end up with. After I do the whole foiling and multiply x times x, I get x squared. X times a negative 5 is negative 5x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. From here, I combine like terms, which are these 2. So I get 3x plus 3 equals x squared minus 10x plus 25. From here, I can go on and subtract the 3x and the 3 over to the other side, so I can get everything on one side. And when I do this, I'm going to cancel this guy off, cancel that guy out. Here's what I get. X squared 0 equals x squared minus 13x plus 22. From here, I need to factor this, and if you remember, the way to factor this, you ask yourself, okay, what makes x squared? X and x, and then what multiplies to make 22, but adds up to negative 13, and that's a negative 11, negative 2. And then the answer will be the opposite of these, which will be an 11 and a 2. So my answer is 11 and 2. But not quite done yet, because remember here, the original problem, let me go ahead and erase here so you can see the original problem. The original problem says the square root of something equals this. Now, if I plug in 2 in here, I get 2 minus 5. And 2 minus 5 is negative 3. And I can't have a square root equal a negative 3. Remember, that was one of the basic rules that we saw. A square root never equals a negative answer. So this, although it turned out to be the answer, does not work out. 2 doesn't work. So the only real solution that we have here is 11. So I know this got a little bit messy. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. But let's move on to 31, because normally we would be doing number 30. But there is no number 30. So we'll go with 31. We're going to bring the 1 over first, and here's what I get. 5x plus 1 equals x plus 1, because this 1 goes away. Alright, from here, what do? I square both sides. Square this, square that. On the left-hand side, I am only going to get a 5x plus 1, which is whatever the radicand is. On the right-hand side, I have an x plus 1 multiplied with another x plus 1, and these are going to be FOILed. Multiply, 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 multiply. So what happens here? Well, here's what we get. On the left, that stays the same. On the right, x squared plus x plus x plus 1. How do I get all that? Again, I'm multiplying all these. That's how I get that. Then I combine like terms. Which ones are the like terms? I combine the x's. So I get 5x plus 1 equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. And then from here, what do? What do I do? Subtract 5x, subtract 1. So that I can combine the like terms from one side of the equation to the other. And here's what I get. X squared. Negative 3. And that's it. These cancel out. The 1's are gone. So I get x squared minus 3x equals 0. So how do I do this? From here, I have to factor. Now, there were different kinds of factoring that we had spoken about. And way back when in Unit 6, you may or may not remember that here you have to factor out an x. You can take out an x out of both of those. And you're going to have an x outside and then x minus 3 following it in a parentheses. And the final answer is going to be the opposite of this, which will be positive 3, or this, which is 0. So those are my two solutions, 3 and 0. Okay. Follow me down to the bottom of the page. On to the left-hand side, we've got number 32, this is page 56. And we're going to start off by adding the x over to the right-hand side. You get square root of x plus 1 equals 1 plus x. From here, I'm going to square both sides, because that's how we get rid of the square root. If you want to get rid of the square root, square both sides. This is going to be another foiling problem. So we're going to have to just multiply all this, multiply, multiply. You're kind of distributing the 1 and you're distributing the x to the other equation. So here's what I get. I'm going to go ahead and kind of rearrange it a little bit because I want the x squared to go first. That's what I get right there. Subtract x, subtract the 1. Subtract x, subtract the 1. I want everything on the right-hand side of the problem. These cancel out as well. I'm going a little faster because number 32 is practically almost the same thing as number 31. So you can kind of follow the same steps. If you need to see this one more time, just go ahead and rewind it, and you can see it all over again. Here at this point, the answer is the opposite of this, which is going to be negative 1. And the opposite of that, there is no opposite because there's no number. The number is 0. So my answer for number 32 is negative 1 and 0. All right. Go ahead and turn your face over to number 36 on page 57. And here, I want to bring this square root over to the right-hand side. Hey, buddy, come over here. Come to the right. Here it is. Wonderful. Now, I have the square root all alone on the right-hand side. And to get rid of that square root, I want to get rid of this guy. How do I get rid of him? I square. Because remember, a square root and a square are opposites. They are opposite operations. And they cancel each other out. On the left-hand side, I need to FOIL this. The x minus 3 with another x minus 3. On the right-hand side, the square root and the square cancel off. Inverse operations cancel out. So you get 4x. Here I FOIL 4 times, x times x, x squared. X times negative 3, negative 3x. Negative 3 times x, negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3, positive 9. I'm going to go ahead and subtract this 4x over to this side. And at the same time, combine all these like terms. So here's what I get. X squared minus 14x plus 9 equals 0. I didn't add these right. It's negative 10. So then the question is, let's factor this. Two sets of parentheses. What multiplies to make x squared? X and x. What multiplies to make 9, but adds up to make negative 10? A negative 9 and a negative 1. Then from here, x is going to equal 9 and it's going to equal 1.